you obviously made all the calls and so on. How'd you feel whenever the point came when you knew there would not be a deal for a player to add for this season, when you knew it was done at that point?
I guess fine. You know, like there were obviously things that we were interested in doing. We did make all the phone calls, but by no means were we kind of, feeling like we had to do something. So, we were exploring options that we thought made sense for us, both in the present and the future. And I guess at the end of the day, it just made the most sense to stand pat. Well, kinda. I mean, we also made a big move, I think, a week ago or whatever, now 10 days ago, that we feel really good about.
I'd like to ask you about that move. What do you feel like you got in Steven Adams for the future?
Yeah, I think we got, a really high level basketball player, a guy who's been a dominant rebounding force in the NBA for the last 5-6 years, one of the best defenders in the NBA, and we obviously feel great without him, but I just think now we have two truly, starter level centers, next year, and I think depth is just, you've seen that with us and every team this year. Depth's just extraordinarily important. But on top of that, like he's a very different player, and I think will be a good complement on and off the court for our group. And I don't know him well. I got a chance to spend a little bit of time with him, and I do think his personality is also going to be really good for the group.
Jaylen, throughout the offseason, you guys talked a lot about this team moving into the next phase of the rebuild, phase 2. As of right now, how do you think phase 2 has gotten off so far?
I guess macro, big picture, good. I think we're in every game. We're not content. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like, oh, it's been great. Like, we're done. No, I think we want more from our young guys. We want them to be better. And I think in their comments to you guys, for the most part, they're echoing that. They want themselves to be better, and they know that that's our expectation from them. So, but I do feel like we've obviously made a big jump in terms of being competitive this year. That was kind of goal one. Goal two is being competitive to winning more games. We've won more too, but the point being, like, we've left a bunch of wins on the table this year, and through all kinds of mistakes, and so you get better through experience, but we do expect and demand that as our guys get more experience, they learn and they don't make the same mistakes twice.
Jaylen Green's name was reportedly in some potential deals. What have you seen from him just in general this season, and as of right now, how does he kind of fit in potential plans for this team for the future?
Jaylen has been and continues to be on paper a great fit with us. He has a skill set that isn't really replicated on our roster. Going back to my earlier comments, my expectation of him, and he knows this, and I think he echoed in his post-game comments, my expectation is that the defense, which has gotten better, is still going to get a lot better, that the physicality and the efficiency is all going to get better. He needs to take those steps. That's extraordinarily important. He's aware of it, we're aware of it, and and that's the challenge for him and for us.
When you're evaluating the players on your team, how much do you take into consideration the fact that it's a new coach, it's a new system, second year, third year players, things like that?
I don't know, we're like 50 games in, so the new coach, new system, like these guys at this point know what's expected of them. So I think in the first 20 games, maybe people were trying to acclimatize themselves, but I think now they know what's going on. In terms of it being their first, second, third year, yeah, that's real. A guy, there's a big difference between someone who's 30 years old and has done something for 10 seasons and somebody who's 19 years old and has done it for half a season. There are some things that are inexcusable: lack of effort, lack of attention, whatever. But expecting some of our players to understand, the pet move of a guy the way a vet would, we know that there's a learning curve there. So I think it depends very much on the specific circumstance in terms of whether, you're like, I get it, push through it, or you're like, hey, no, you got to be there now.
You
Come
voiced
from-
that you were surprised that Cam Whitmore was still available at 20. What have you seen from him this season that you've liked?
I mean, we're excited about Cam. I think, he can score the ball, and we knew he was, we knew he was the type of athlete he's shown on the court. That was pretty obvious. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think he's really flashed really high-end offensive talent. And a lot of the stuff we've asked of him defensively, like he's working on, and rebounding, he's working on. And so again, just like the rest of our group, it needs to translate. It needs to be every game, every possession. And so, by no means are we like, oh, it's great, we're happy. But overall, yeah, we're excited about Cam's future.
I'm following up on phase 2 and the emphasis on winning. Is the plan this year to be more aggressive in the buyout market than in previous 2 or 3 seasons?
I mean, I don't even remember what we did in the buyout market last couple of seasons. We would add somebody, whether in the buyout market, whether in the free agency market, whatever. We would add somebody that makes sense to us this year or next year. But that's going to be kind of a group effort. I think the primary thing for us is really having is our group as it's currently constituted, playing up to its standards. And I think I think the last few weeks everybody's a little bit disappointed. We've let a few that we had slip through our fingers, and just being a little bit better there. I think the primary goal, the primary goal for all of us is just the guys we've got in the building right now to play as well as they can be, and we'll look at the buyout market if something makes sense. We might do something, but primarily we're focused on the guys that are currently on the roster.
Are you all comfortable with Steven's knee, and is he going to be ready to go come camp in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, we passed his physical. We did look at it. The surgery went really well. He's ahead of schedule on the rehab. So the answer is yes, we're very comfortable, and we do expect that he should be ready for camp. We're not going to rush him. If something happens and he's a little late, that would be perfectly fine. But as of right now, I do anticipate he'll be ready.
I'm actually from the Rio Grande Valley, so I've seen a lot of the young players play this year, two-way players and such. Talk about how their contributions are. You have got people like Samuels Jr. going to be part of the NBA activities this weekend. Talk about your feelings of these players so far.
You talking about Jermaine Samuels?
Yeah.
No, Jermaine's great. He hasn't really had an opportunity with the Rockets outside of preseason, and some minutes and some blowouts. But he's taken a big step in his career. First time G League All-Star, very deserving. He's been really a great G League player this year, and the Vipers are playing really well again. And he's been a big driver behind their success.
Of the talks that you did have, how much of the motivation was either to set yourself up for future maneuvers, moves, or with the roster in coming seasons in mind rather than right now?
I mean, we had discussions centered around both. That's the honest answer to the question. But we certainly weren't going to do something that would hurt us on a going forward basis now. The moves we were most excited about were moves where we thought they could help us in the short term and also the long term. The moves subsequent to Steven, we were very excited about acquiring Steven, full stop. But subsequently, like a lot of the ones we had long discussions about were moves that would have provided elements this year maybe that we don't have, as well as stuff for the future. But they didn't happen, and and we're fine with that. Like this, we like our group, and this gives everybody on our current roster an opportunity to shine.
With Steven on the books, does that make it more likely that you're going to operate above the salary cap this summer?
Yeah, it does. I think. I mean, there still are scenarios where we could flip down, but I think very, very likely we'll be above the cap.
From your perspective, the vets that you brought in over the offseason, in what ways have you really felt they've helped develop some of the younger guys since they've been brought in?
Oh, I mean, I think Fred has been kind of an amazing leader for us on and off the court. I didn't know him as a person until he signed with us. We through the free agency meetings you get to know him a little bit, but but very much everything advertised. Just great leader, probably the toughest person I've been around in the NBA, and I've been in the NBA for 20 years, so it's a long time now, and it's saying a lot. And he's just an impressive dude. Dylan, his kind of just his grind, his daily grind, not just in games but in practice, in the weight room, I think is just really a great example for our young guys. And then the rest of our vets, Jeff and Boban, just really good, solid human beings that everybody enjoys spending time around. So I do think the vets have brought a lot to our locker room, and I think and we're very happy that they're here.
We were looking a couple of weeks ago. Ime told us that some of the things that he would like to see added to the team was a big man, a center. He went out and added one, but he also wanted a shooter. How hard is that to fulfill those type of needs when he says this is what we would like to have?
Yeah, I think you guys all misinterpreted that. I think what he meant was there are areas where we can improve, and these are the areas we can improve. Going out and getting them via free agency is one way we can improve it. The other way is guys on our team develop into that. And given the age of our guys, we do expect some of them to develop into that. In terms of like what we were looking for on the trade market, we were completely aligned. Like we actually agreed on every single deal that I asked him about. Like the ones I thought could be possible that I didn't particularly like, he didn't like either. The ones I thought that could be possible that I was excited about, he was excited about. I think we're very much in the same place in terms of what we see with this team, how certain elements would impact it negatively or positively. And so, yeah, anyway, so that's my answer.
You brought up Jaylen. Are you happy with
No, he brought up Jaylen.
You brought it up, Are you pleased with what you've seen from not just him, but from Alfie and the guys that have been in the organization for a couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, they're growing. So in that sense, yeah, we're pleased. But I want to be clear, we're demanding. Growth is expected and demanded here. And so, yes, like we're happy with them, and different guys have taken different leaps at different times and in different ways and on different sides of the ball and everything else. But our expectation is that they're all kind of should be getting better between here and the end of the year, should be getting better between the end of the year and next season. And that growth needs to be continual. Like we're not in a place where we feel like, oh, this guy is here. Like with none of our young guys are we like that. And the good news for me is I don't think they think they're there either. I think they all know they have growth, that the growth is expected of them.
Would you say that they have met your expectations of where they thought that they would be 50-something games into this season?
The real answer to your question is I don't think about it in those terms. It's not. I don't map out, oh, this guy should be here on defense and here in rebounding and here on offense. It's just too amorphous. I would say my expectation is that they would all grow and improve. They have. At various times I've been like, wow, that guy got better quicker. Oh, why is this guy not getting better quicker? But again, it's not linear. So with every single one of our players, I've had those thoughts going both ways. But none of them are finished products, and none of them are ultimately where we need them to be in order for us to be as good as we want to be. And so, that's kind of how I think about it.
How would you evaluate yourself up to this midway point this season?
Myself?
Yeah.
I don't, that's an odd question. Yeah, I think. Are you at like? I want to actually answer your question. Are you asking about like just this season, or are you asking about the last 3 years?
As the Houston Rockets general manager, how would you evaluate yourself up to the midpoint of this season?
I mean, I'm trying to figure where's your start point.
So from the beginning of the season.
From
to
the beginning of the season.
Since we're getting into the All-Star break.
Believe it or not, there's not a ton for me to do from the beginning of the season to the All-Star break. So what I would say is that, like, starting at the end of last season, I'll help you with your question. Starting at the end of last season to this season, I think I've had a big impact on the team. And I think the off season is when I have that is my time to put my imprint on this team. From that perspective, yeah, I'm happy with the choices we made. I think for the most part, we've gotten what we wanted. I think the additions of Fred and Dylan were necessary and really important. I like that we brought Boban back. I like that we have Jeff. I love the hire of Ime. Yeah, I think, and then I think we did really well drafting Cam and Ament. So I think we had a very successful offseason, which set us up to make the right steps for this season. But I would say for myself, similar to our young guys, it's not good enough. And so they need to improve. Our front office, not just me, all of us, our coaching staff, all of us, we've got to continue on the grind and make sure that the choices we make at the trade deadline, the ones we just made, the ones we make between now and the end of the season, the ones we make in the off season, that they all set us up to have the best possible chance to win a championship in the short term. Not meaning like a year or two, but meaning, not 20 years either, right? And that's very much our goal and my goal.
Great, thank you.